Hey guys, it's your boy. No, just kidding. Okay, I'm gonna be real quick about this, so it's hopefully concise, so you know what to do, and you can come back and reference this in case you need to. But when creating a dialog tree, you'll open up Unreal. It will look something like this, or hopefully it will look like this. Might be a little bit different depending on what we add, but either way, like the steps you'll take will be the same. So you're gonna move over here to dialog tree. You're gonna click there, go in, ignore all this blue stuff, and then run into this folder right here called dialog trees. And you'll see right here there's a default tree, and any other trees that you'll create will appear here later too. So this is what you're going to want to copy and paste, and then you'll just go in here and rename it the name of whatever dialogue is going on. So let's name this Angry Guy. We'll save that, and then we're going to open that up, and you'll see this monstrosity right here. Really, you can ignore all of this down here and just use it for reference if need be, because you're going to have a few components you need to worry about. There's the start dialog, which you really just have to worry about if you copy and paste this, and I'll show you what I mean in here in a second. You're asking questions, displaying lines, ending dialogue, adjusting resources, and then checking which one they actually chose. And I'll show you how to go through and make all that. So what I would recommend doing, just so that way it doesn't get too confusing, is I would just go ahead and select these and cut and paste, and kind of move all of this over here to the side so that way you can reference it in case you forget something. Sorry, I didn't actually highlight it correctly. There we go. So if you forget something, you can just reference it over there. But one way or another, you're going to always want these three things to be at the top, because this is what lets the actual conversation start happening. So from there, just ignore all that, drag and drop down, and you're going to select sequence. Let me make sure I'm not going crazy. Yep, sequence. And this is where we ask our first question. So ask question, and when you drag, it will automatically pop up. You probably already know this. I'm just over-explaining just in case. So ask question, and you can really just leave. Well, actually, no, you can't. Sorry, I was double checking. Okay, so you're gonna come over here, and you can see right here. There's these 4 defaults. This is what you're gonna worry about. Don't worry about touching this first one, because if you go in and look, all these will be the same for the first part. The second part, you're gonna want to select response, because that's what it's gonna end up looking for. And again, if you go in and look, you can see that, hey, all these are looking for a response. And then you're going to ask your question or make a statement, right? It doesn't have to be a question. So, for example, it can be just hey, yo, my neighbors are being loud. And then that's the question that the person will ask or say. And then you're going to add however many responses there are going to be. Like I said, if you add too many, it will start looking funky. 3, I think, is a golden number. So let's just say that you can go in here now and write your responses. So let's say it's well, that sucks. Don't be a party pooper. And sorry to hear that. So right now you have your 3 questions that you just asked. And so we're going to leave that there. Now what you're going to want to do is drag and drop a selector. So let's drag and drop right here and type in selector. Now, as a quick note, when you're doing all of this, you'll see these little numbers in the corner, and what happens is the dialog tree sets priority left to right. So as you can see, this right here says, okay, start dialogue will go first, so we'll go start dialogue, then we'll move on to go ask a question. I realize I'm pointing at my screen with my physical hand, and you can't see that. So start dialogue, goes to sequence, goes to ask question, goes to a selector, and then this is where you're going to want to drag and drop 3 sequences, because we're going to check to see which one they selected. And go in here, right-click, go down to Add Decorator, because we're decorating the sequence to make it look different. And you're going to look for check response, and just go ahead and select that. And you're going to do that with all the other ones. Check response, and check, oh, sorry, it's a little bit down there low. Check response. There we go. I'm just going to drag these up a little bit so that way it's a little easier to work with the space here. And now, again, remember, if you ever forget what you need to type in there, you can just click over here to see. So as you can see, we need these type of inputs. So we're going to need to switch this to a response to match it up with this ask question. We're going to need to see which response they select. So as you can see right here, we had 3 different ones. So we're just going to say, okay, I copy and paste just to make sure I don't make a difference. You're going to make sure, so you're going to go in and say, okay, for example, let's see if they selected don't be a party pooper. So you're going to come in here, you're going to copy and paste don't be a party pooper. You're going to come down here to check response and you're going to paste that in. And then same thing over here. So let's just go, sorry to hear about that. Sorry to hear about that. And if you check over here, yep, it looks like we have basically everything in the right place. Oh, I forgot to change these to be response as well. So now it's checking for the response. So basically, whichever one the person ends up clicking on, it will go through this branch. So let's start over here with don't be a party pooper. Actually, no, let's start over here with well, that sucks. And let's say that they just decide to hang up. And so, sorry, one sec. We're going to go back over to sequence. Just double check. Oh, sorry, not yet. I'm lying to you. So you're going to go over here and you're going to want to display a line. Because let's say this person decides to just hang up. And you can think of display line as, okay, this will show. And then after that, nothing else will happen. So it's like, y'all suck. And double check over here. Yep, dialog widget, y'all suck. And let's adjust the resources because we want to make sure that that affects things. And as you can see over here, there's 3 different things you can adjust. So you can say, okay, bad response, they don't get any money from it. You can see right here, stress adjust. Let's say it goes up by 15 stress just because, you don't like being called out. And then energy adjust, you don't like getting called up, so let's do -15. So the way that this will work is your stress will decrease, so you need to put in a negative. Sorry, your energy will decrease, so you need to put in a negative. Your stress will increase, so you need to put a positive. And remember, it only has a limit of 100, so you can't be like, oh, stress adjust 3,000. So, moving on. And remember, we want this to basically be the last thing, so we'll get this end dialog, drag and drop. And that means that conversation is over. Now, I'm not going to go through and make everything super specific. In fact, I'll just copy and paste this from over here because you don't need to see me sit here for 30 minutes and just continually, adjust things. It's always so hard to grab all the necessary stuff. You know what, I'll pause this and then I'll go through and create it. Okay, I made some adjustments, and I didn't decide to make it super complicated because I don't want to sit here for a while creating a dialog tree that will not be used. So, I just went in here and I'm like, oh, maybe you're right, never mind, and let's say, oh, that makes that makes you make a little bit of money. It makes your stress go down because, you kind of had a funny interaction with the person, and your energy is also increased because it was a pleasant interaction. And then over here it was like, oh, thanks for being helpful. And then not much happens because, so not much happens because, I don't know, whatever. But you get more money because it's efficient. And, this doesn't really matter, but you get the idea. You can put in the logic in this stress adjust. So either way, in all of these branches we have end dialog, so that means once you go through, it will end. So just make sure whenever you're done with a branch, you'll put end dialog, otherwise it will never end. And then we'll have a bug. And of course you can basically do as many of these ask questions as you want. And so you can check responses, ask another question, check those responses, ask another question. So it can get real big real quick. Like that one conversation with the old lady, as you saw, there's not that many paths that you can go in that interaction, but you'll see that with a little bit of paths, with a little amount of paths that there were, it was a pretty large tree. So remember, the more complicated you make a conversation, the larger it will get. And just make sure to always double check that first you have this at the beginning. Second, that these check responses will be these has response, and the ask question has response right here. So make sure those both match up, and then finally that you're ending the dialogue eventually, and you should be good. Now let's just go through that so you can see what it will look like. Don't worry about doing anything in this part because we'll hopefully have that figured out and you won't have to. So we're gonna just start playing, and we're gonna come over here. As you can see, there's the money in the middle. On the right you have your energy, on the left you'll have your stress. It'll be a little bit more clear once we put some stuff in. Just go ahead and click, and you're like, hey yo, my neighbors are being loud. Well, that sucks. And then, oh, look, your stress just increased. Let's just do that a couple more times, so that way it's you can see both of them have changed. But like, oh, you're like, don't be a party pooper, and boom, look, both of the your stress decreased and your energy increased. Let's do that again, and boom, and you can see your money's also increasing. Oh, and see, there's something wrong right here because guess what? It's not click going right, but that's, I guess, more for me to figure out. Maybe we'll figure out a way that you guys can also test. Actually, you know what? We're gonna do that. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I just quickly made some changes so that way in the future you'll be able to test this, and rather than like we'll be playing, day 3 in the game and we're like, okay, why is this not working all of a sudden? So after you create a dialogue tree, so let's just imagine that you created this default tree right here. You're gonna come in here and you're gonna find this phone that's right here. And it's basically behind the camera. We'll delete it eventually. Go ahead, and once you click on it, you'll see this pop up over here. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna even rename this. Maybe I can't rename this. Never mind. I'm not gonna rename it because that's too much work. And so you're gonna click on this right here, and you'll see default dialog tree. And you're gonna come in here and you're gonna select whichever one you just created. So let's say you just created the default tree right here. And you're going to come over here, select play. That's the normal phone. That will hopefully make it work out with everything. You're going to move over here and then click on that, and you're like, okay, you can make sure you go along all the paths and make sure that they all work. And that way we don't accidentally, have anything that's broken. So yeah. So I guess let me just actually, you know what? I'm going to make a quick recap video for y'all, and then that'll be good.